Good morning, everyone. I'm BJ Kidd. Jack asked me to share a little bit of a testimony with you about sharing in serving in weakness. And I'm actually serving this morning, so that's why I'm up front, and I'll have to duck out after a little bit so I can kind of keep doing my role. But so just a little bit of background for those of you who don't know, and a lot of you probably do because my name comes up every Sunday morning as everyone's praying for me, but I was in a series of several car accidents over a short period of time, and the last one, it was back in 2023, so I'm getting some distance on it in June. But I sustained some disc damage in my spine, arthritis, severe whiplash. I still have post-concussion syndrome from that. I have migraines and other headaches on a almost sometimes daily basis. And several other things going on. I have nerve impingement and just a lot of other things, some deterioration in my spine. So I have a lot of pain and a lot of other things that can be debilitating at times. I also have an autoimmune condition that I got diagnosed with around the same time, and inflammation, which also kind of ties in with the other stuff. Anyways, so I have a lot going on, and I have been trying to heal and recover and get my body back to functioning like normal for a while, and you all have been faithfully praying for me, and I appreciate that so much. And when I became a member at Bethel, I was wanting to heal so that I could serve. I was wanting to heal so that I could be more a part and more a member, more active in the body. And that was my prayer and that was my plan. And I kind of was holding that for a while. And then at some point, as we were getting close to moving here to this campus, the Lord just was working in my heart, and I just woke up one morning with a conviction: serve the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, and strength. And I just knew in that moment that the Lord wanted me to serve him with the strength that I had. And I can't always forecast the strength I'm going to have 2 weeks from now on the serving schedule. I don't always know what strength I'm going to wake up with on a given day or how long it's going to last. And so I had been really reticent to commit because I didn't want to let people down, and I didn't want to, have to call in and cancel, and I didn't want to, do anything of those things. I also didn't want to look like the person that was waffling and wasn't committed, and so there was some pride involved in that. But the Lord just convicted me. I made you for my glory. I made you to serve me, and I'm going to give you ways to serve me with the strength that you have. So love me and serve the body with the strength that I give you, and trust me that that is enough. And so here I am. I am currently serving in 2 small ways on the hospitality team. I have had to call in a couple of times, but for the most part, I've been able to serve as scheduled, far more honestly than I thought that I would be able to. Before that, the Lord had enabled me to, I was able to help a family move on a day when my body was feeling really good. I was able to do some real serious hard labor and put in a good strong effort with the guys, and that felt amazing, and God helped me do that, and it was such a joy. And so I can't say that it has always gone according to my plan. I can't say that he has completely healed my body since I've had a really rough winter physically and health-wise. But I can say that he has helped me obey him and help me serve him and help me have joy in doing that, and given other people patience for the limitations that my body has. And I think just it's been sweet to see him lead me in following him. My obedience and my following him isn't contingent on the things that come after. And so I can rest in his sovereignness, and I can rest in his grace and his provision. So that's my short testimony. I know that our other speakers are going to have a Q&A time later, but since I'm kind of monitoring some things, I wanted to just open it up to anyone who has questions for me before I pass the mic. Anyone? And it's okay if you don't, but thank you for listening. I hope that encourages you.
All right. Well, this is good. Love that we're doing this. as a church. For those of you that don't know me, I think everybody here knows me. I'm one of the pastors here at Bethel, and really excited about the opportunity and what we're doing here in Sunday school with this scaffolding for joyful gospel advancement, right? As a church, I think it's great that we're putting intent and purpose into the ministries that we see here at our church. And how do they tie back biblically to what we're trying to do as a church? So really encouraged by this. Really want to thank Jack and Jason for putting this together and giving us an opportunity to work through these things. So the question for me and Sarah a little bit, she's here too, a little bit under the weather, but she can help out if there are any questions, is what is the biblical purpose of our outreach ministry? So specifically our Easter event. What does that look like? And why do we do that? What is our purpose behind that? For those that were at the members meeting last week, I talked a little bit about this. And it said that it's twofold. Our purpose is twofold. And the twofold thing that ties into is our core values. If you don't know our core values as a church, I'd encourage you to look those up on our website. But two of our core values are impact and community. And these events and our outreach tie in perfectly with impact and community. So the first one is impact, and I talked about this, and that is our opportunity as believers, as members here at Bethel, to reach out to our community, right? To the circle of influence that we have, to our neighbors, to the people that we work with, the people that we're around, to really impact them with the gospel. And the Easter event is an easy way that we can do that we're able to reach out, bring them, invite them to a event that isn't high pressure, might not be awkward to them, but just something fun where they can see what joyful gospel advancement truly looks like. So that's number one, that's impact. I would share a passage that ties to that I think is very important, because we talk about the biblical importance of this, and it's so applicable because it's something that we're talking about right now as Marty works through Matthew 5 with us. So Matthew 5, 13 through 16 is where this core value of impact comes from. Let me read this passage for you guys, talking about being salt and light in the world. You are the salt of the earth, but if salt has lost its taste, how shall its saltiness be restored? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled under people's feet. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven. So that's us. That's applicable to us. And that's where this opportunity that we have with the Easter event is perfect, a perfect example for us to be salt and light in our community. And we have to do that with our circle of influence. So I think that's really important, and really wanted to hone into that first biblical purpose there. The second one I mentioned is community. So what does that look like? That's us building a church internal community, right? It's our church. It's building and fellowshipping a culture where we can grow each other, right? And share that love, Christ's love, internally as a church. We want to build a strong community within this church of believers that loves on each other and reaches out to each other. So I think that's a real opportunity that we have here, because this is an opportunity. It's a big event where we can rally together as a group and really serve together, come alongside, find different skills, and learn about new things that people enjoy doing together as a church. I always like to use the example of one of the previous churches that we attended here when we first moved back to Kansas City. Was Countryside Baptist down in Olathe. And one of the big events that they have every year is Journey to Judea. And I don't know if anybody here has been to Journey to Judea. It is an awesome opportunity to just go see and walk through the actual Journey to Judea over the Christmas season. But their entire church gets together and rallies around this ministry, and just the community and the culture that it created there was really inspiring to me as a member at the time. And it's something that I would love to see us do here with some of the events and different things that we do there. So those are two of the purposes. I just wanted to point out biblical purposes here. Again, those are both some of our core values. Impact and community are two of our 5 core values as a church there. So a couple of the other questions and things that I am tasked to share here. So what are some of the challenges of the ministry, and how can we pray for this ministry in particular? So some of the challenges that we face, I think the number one piece is church engagement. We really want people to dive in. We really want people to buy into this opportunity to share with their neighbors and to bring their neighbors. Not just to make this about Bethel hanging out and having a fun Easter party, but for us to truly reach out to our community. So engagement is really, really important, and following Matthew 5, I think, is very key there. So I would ask that you definitely pray for that. Pray for our engagement as a church and our excitement around this opportunity to reach out to the community. Second, we talked about this at the members meeting, staffing, and we're looking for help as leaders too. So not just the day of, but how can we get people to really truly help staff and lead an area or a department as we start to work on this big event. So pray for that. That's also a challenge. And then logistics. So we've got a new place, a new partner here with Oak Hill. We're excited about that. I think that's a huge opportunity to have an incredible facility like this. We're going to be able to use the gymnasium and the field across from the front doors when you walk in there. So cool, new, unique opportunity, an opportunity to partner with their school and hopefully some of their members too. So I'd also pray for that. Pray for that partnership with Oak Hill and this new facility. I think that there's some neat things that can potentially come from that. So that's a big part of it. Weather with logistics can be challenging, so please pray for that. In the past, we've done a fall event, and one of our fall events was stifled a little bit by the weather, by a lot of rain. And so be praying for the weather, and just that we would have good weather there from that perspective. And then finally, just the cost. We talked about this in the members meeting also. There's a significant cost to this investment, but we think it's definitely worth it. So pray for that. And if there's ways that you feel that you can help and share, we would love to hear from you in ways that you can do that. As far as need for things right now, so the big portion of cost is food, because we have offset some of that and hope to drive attendance through that. We also rent inflatables and some of the fun things for games and stuff like that for kids. But then a couple ways that you guys can help with, whether it be through prayer or just your investment, would be candy, snacks, eggs, some of the different things that we do there. So would love to see people step up and participate that way. So any questions on the ministry? And Sarah, did I miss anything? Anything that you would add there? No? Okay. Any questions on that? And feel free at any point in time to come to me or Sarah. Sarah's just right back here. You guys know Sarah, for anything that you have with this ministry. We're really excited about it, guys. It is one big opportunity that we have to truly show joyful gospel advancement. So I hope that people will dig in and dive in with that ministry opportunity. No questions? All right, very good. Don't forget, Matthew 5, 13 through 16, Salt and Life.
Hi, I'm Gabriel. This is not the Sunday school that I would daydream about teaching, but here I am. Actually, my girlfriend is supposed to be talking about Camp Comcedo, but she got lost on the way here. She's in Alabama. So, Camp Comcedo, it's City Union Mission Camp in the Ozarks. It is run by City Union Mission, which is here in Kansas City. It was actually founded in the Ozarks, City Union Mission, by a woman who used to run a brothel, but when she converted, she was very passionate about drug addiction, and so it started as a camp for men who are experiencing drug and alcohol addiction, and then it expanded to their children. And so Camp Comcedo, specifically the mission of Camp Comcedo, is to serve children in Kansas City, in the inner city and in urban areas of Benton County, in Warsaw, where the camp is located. And so they only pay as much as $5, maybe 10, 15, depending on their need, to come to camp, and the goal is to provide them an all-inclusive summer camp opportunity. It's about 600 acres of land, huge lake. It's a beautiful area, and I've gone actually as a camper. I was 11 when I started going. My girlfriend Katie has gone since she was 3, and we met there. So it's very close to our hearts. It's actually interesting you mentioned Matthew 5. The mission has been pushing more toward that verse to be a city on the hill, and that cannot be hidden. And their goal really is to be known in Kansas City for the work they do with drug addicts and with their children and their families. And so it's really close to my heart. It's really close to, I think, some of the issues that are happening in Kansas City. There are some issues happening with camp. The goal being to serve children and their families. The mission is currently struggling financially. So we're getting into the challenges part pretty early because I think the need is there. The need is really poignant and it's something that I care a lot about. But currently the mission is struggling financially just to uphold camp and some of its other programs. And so there's some things in the works with other camp volunteers starting their own ministry, 501c3, and hoping to get funding. And so primarily I would want to pray for camp to receive that funding. I would continue to donate if you do to City Union Mission or to start doing it. We don't have any ill will towards them and the camp sort of separating. And if they continue to succeed, then camp can continue to succeed. So I really pray for the blessing, but right now a big thing is making camp work. We've had about 6 weeks in the summer, typically, for different age groups. It's currently down to 2. We're hoping to provide 2 more. And primarily, we were serving about 240, 250 children throughout the summer. That number is probably going to be down to 50 based on how many they're willing to pay for. And so we're hoping to get that up to maybe 100, maybe 150, which is still a lot less. But that's the goal, is to just provide that help for those children, because what we see is reaching these children, sort of, seeking the lost and finding them in families who experience drug and alcohol addiction and teaching them the gospel. We see their lives improve drastically, and we see that they continue to not be sort of enticed by those sins, by drug addiction, by crime and things like that. As they grow up in areas where that's prevalent, they become lights in their area, and they begin to share the gospel. To see one of these kids to accept Christ and how their life changes and their light lights and their eyes light up, it's just really, really moving, and it's something that we care a lot about. So it's important. We want to keep that. We want to maintain that mission. We want to maintain the goal of camp, which is to prevent drug addiction before it happens as adults, to reach them when they are in their greatest need and in their sort of their greatest growth period, and to rear them up as God-fearing people. We don't just serve them in the summer. We visit them during the winter and the spring. We have different events at camp. That property is running year-round, and so it's really important that primarily we can continue to function as a camp as a whole. And so getting funding to either to the mission, getting funding for extra weeks. If you're interested about any stuff about that, you can contact Katie or myself, because that is all pretty early in the works as far as that's concerned. But secondarily, for challenges and ways you can help, just pray. Just pray for these children that they're reaching out to us saying what's happening at camp, how can we keep coming, that they would not lose their love for God, that they would continue to grow and to attend churches, because if we can't serve them the way that we have previous years, then we still want them to have that relationship. Just praying for their well-being, praying for their families. There's a prayer group that you can also be added to. Contact me about that. I'd have to contact camp, but if you're interested in hearing what needs we have to pray about as we move into the summer and try to make camp function as previous years, then I can get you that information. Yeah, just prayer and just donations to the mission and to hopefully this upcoming 501c3 that can help fund extra weeks of camp. Because that's the biggest struggle, is being able to pay for these kids to come to camp for only $5. It's a big deal. It could cost at other camps $100, $200 for a camper to attend and be fed. To do it for $5 per camper for 200 children, it's a big undertaking, but it's something that we want to keep doing. We don't just want to lose this ministry. And so to be able to do that, to provide a camp that kids who are in poverty and whose families experience drug addiction can't afford, that's really valuable. because it's not just for fun and swimming, although there is a lot of that. It's so that they can come to know Jesus Christ, their Lord and Savior. So, thank you. Any questions?
So, can the donations go to the city missions? Can you earmark it?
So that's something that they used to do. Yes. Currently. Oh, can you earmark donations for camp? That's the question. They used to do that. Yes, things are changing, and Katie would know more about that. She works in the finance department at the mission. It has been an issue because funding that could go to camp or that people are intending to go to camp has to be used for other ministries at the mission because they are sort of struggling and cutting certain programs. And so that is frustrating, but I do not want them to stop functioning as a ministry. And so even if you can't specify go to camp, I would hope that we could still continue to fund and provide them the funds to run that, because they still do so much work for other groups of people. For adults experiencing drug addiction, they have homeless shelters, and if they continue to thrive, then they can hopefully continue to support camp in the future. So we are hoping, that's why we're opening the 501c3 to have something that can fund camp specifically. But as of right now, I would just hope that we can continue to fund the mission so that they can continue to succeed and be blessed, and hopefully that will overflow into camp needs. Yes?
So does the camper go for like 1 week, or is it the entire summer?
Sorry, does the camper go for 1 week or the entire summer? So we have typically 6 weeks. That's 6 sections, so they're about a week long, Monday to Saturday, sometimes Tuesday to Saturday, depending on how long we need to train some of the staff. But they will go for approximately a week. And so there's preteen groups, that's from ages 10 to 12. There's junior groups from ages 6 to 9. There's a tot lot camp that runs simultaneously with some of the weeks that are ages 4 to 8. And there is, or 3 to 8, I think. And there is a teen camp that we run. We run specifically teen boys and specifically teen girls. That's ages 13 to 16. And so if you are interested in volunteering, there at least will be 2 weeks of camp this summer. 2 teen camps, I believe, is what the mission is able to fund. You are able to bring your children if you need childcare and things like that, or if it helps you to take care of them, or if they're older, they can come help as well as staff kids. But yeah, it's a week long, and different age groups. As it's changing, it used to be those 6 weeks I told you about. Right now, we're hoping to have those 2 teen camps, 1 junior, 1 preteen, and 2 tot lots running simultaneously with the other weeks.
So do you think it takes around $200 to $300 per kid to run, if we were to donate, are you thinking like donation-wise, like $200 to $300 per kid?
So the question was $200 or $300 per kid. Is that like a general rule, how much it's going to cost? I'm not sure. We have general numbers. I think as it stands, we're hoping to have $10,000 for an extra 2 weeks of camp. So I'm not sure what that entails. We don't have a rundown on exactly how much per camper, but
Your goal is 10,000.
I think so. I think that's what I understood from the last meeting. Yeah, unfortunately, the things with funding extra 2 weeks of camp are difficult. We have to, because City Union Mission is a ministry that works with high-risk people, we might not have access to some of their infrastructure in terms of like how they register people and stuff like that. So knowing exactly what we need is hard, and I wish I had more information, but I don't.
Just wanted some sort of goal, so what you were looking for.
I understand. Thank you. Yes, Jack.
Hey, it said this, I just missed it. Typically, these ministries are also looking for volunteer camp counselors, is that a thing?
Yes, he asked if it was volunteer camp counselor ministry. We pretty much is entirely staffed by volunteers. There was approximately 8 mission-specific staff that worked for camp. 7 of them, I believe, have been laid off. So there's currently 1 mission-specific staff for camp, and he does already so much work. It's primarily volunteer-run. So we have volunteers who are working in administrative positions at camp who are counseling. I've counseled for many years. That's something I'm very passionate about. But we also have rec staff, people who do activities. We have cooks. We have craft volunteers, and just people who hop around. So it's primarily volunteer. That's mostly where the help is from. They used to also pay for interns for the summer. That's something that I've done, that Katie has done as well. I'm not sure if that's happening this summer, but yeah, primarily volunteers.
Is the camp full, or if there was someone you knew that could benefit from it? Is there room for more campers?
So they can only have is there room for more campers? Does the camp get filled up at a certain point? They decide how many campers can come based on how many staff are coming, because we can only have so many adults with the kids. We can't have 2 adults, 1 kid, 1 adult, 1 kid. We have to have some kind of balance where I think typically it's like 1.5 to 1. And so we would like to have adult volunteers first so that we can figure out what the cap is on kids. Previous years, things like the preteen camp has had 50 to 70 campers, and teen camps have had 20 to 40. It just depends on how many staff we have. And so that's a big thing is hopefully people can volunteer. Hopefully people can, or just be able to help fund. Because if we don't have the money and the volunteers, we can't even decide how many kids can come. And hopefully a lot of kids can come, but that's currently not certain. Yes, Mom.
Maybe touch on the one day volunteer type things that are available to people once camp is happening. So it doesn't have to be a week of your life volunteering.
So it doesn't have to be a week of your life volunteering. That's the fun way to do it, or 2-3 weeks, 6 weeks, just live in Warsaw. I mean, that's the fun way to do it. But once camp is sort of in session, especially previous volunteers, I'm sure they could vet somebody for a day. But there are things like banquets that they do for the teen girls, for the tot lotters, and there are like end of week events that people could come and help for a day. There's setup and breakdown. So there's ways to volunteer to help with actual camp operations that just take a day, just a drive down to Warsaw and back. But or a bus. You can come down on a bus. You can. That's how they usually send the kids. I forgot about the bus thing. I don't usually do that. My mom does. So they need to bus the kids down, and so to have a bus monitor also. You don't have to stay in Warsaw. You can just travel down, travel back up. But come on. Stay in Warsaw, get on the battle barge, throw some kids around. That's the way to do it. Any more questions? Yes.
Is it just kids who come from struggling homes, drug addiction situations, or is it like any kids? And then 2, are they only from Kansas City or all over the country?
So the question was, is it just kids who are struggling or experiencing poverty, and also is it just kids from certain areas, Kansas City or the whole country? We primarily offering the discounted price is for kids experiencing poverty, whose families are either in our shelters or otherwise. But there's a lot of factors that go into that. We accept a lot of kids from a lot of different backgrounds. It's not like specific to kids who are involved with the mission in some way. But there is also, I believe, a full price that you can pay if you were just sending a kid who didn't meet any of those criteria, but I'm not sure if that's ever been the case. They typically will provide some amount of discount because the goal is just to provide an all-encompassing camp experience to families who maybe can't afford it or who are volunteering. So if you are volunteering, we have staff kids all the time who come and are able to be campers even though they're not necessarily experiencing that issue. In regards to the areas, it's typically the urban areas of like Benton County, it's like Warsaw, Sedalia, some of those urban areas in there, and then Kansas City, the greater Kansas City area. But we do have like volunteers who've come from Texas, from Tennessee. We have a lot of different ranges of people who show up. So I'm certain that if they are able to make it, that their children can come as well. I think typically though, the goal is children in those areas, either greater Kansas City or urban areas in the Ozarks. Any more questions? Okay. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, guys. I'm Phil. We'll talk a little bit about the boys' home that we hear about each week. I know in the prayer sessions. It's kind of wanted to give you a quick overview of kind of what we're doing. So at the boys' home is over there by our original building, right down the road, and they're housed in their old school there. There's going to be roughly between 25 and 30 boys at any given time through the center, and they're divvied up into 3 different teams, A, B, and C. So we go in essentially in groups of 2 into each group on Sunday mornings from 9 to 10, hold like a Sunday school for them. The boys are kept, the teams are always kept separate, an ideal situation, just because of previous gang affiliation, certain things. They try not, they're not gonna want them to mix, because many times there's fights and things, if that kind of thing happens. So that's why they're divvied up into those different groups. We go in ideally in teams of 2. So we've got right now, we've got 2 people going in each Sunday morning. We want to do that just to provide as much consistency as possible each week. Because like this week I'm not there, so Ian Dawson is my partner right now. So they see Ian each week, and if Ian's not there, they're going to see me. We just want to try to show as much consistency with them, be there week in, week out, that we can be someone that they can count on. What the idea is that we're in there on Sunday sharing the gospel with them, but then we can also maybe be possibly someone they could count on when they get out, if at all possible. So that's just kind of the general workings of it, which I guess to go along with that, I do want to add, we have what we call a liaison council. We are a 503c. They set up that quite a few years ago. In fact, this ministry goes back way before me. It goes way back to prior before a lot of us who came over with the church revitalization. It goes back many, many years. And so this predates anything that I was doing there for it. But as what they call the liaison council, we meet each first Wednesday of the month with our main contact there. And we try to plan a session once a month, or an event for the boys, roughly once a month. We don't do it every month, but roughly once a month, an event outside of Sunday mornings for the boys. Its general focus is more for fun, not necessarily strictly on the gospel, but more as a relationship building, that type of thing with the boys as well. So the challenge with the ministry is that we go in there on Sundays, the boys aren't necessarily seeking after God. They are a captured audience. They're not allowed to not be in Sunday school, essentially. Okay, so you might have 10 boys in there, and half will participate, maybe half won't. And we don't push hard to try to get them to participate if they don't want to. We don't feel like force them into something that's going to be really beneficial for them. But we try to make it as appealing to them as we can. Try to show them as much love and the love of God as we can to hopefully push the gospel for them or to them a little bit. But they're not always really seeking. And then obviously as teenage boys, I guess they will roughly range from 15 to 18. That's the general range. And a teenage boy, their moods are going to change from week to week. And there's boys that are really engaged one week, and the next week they're not so much. And so there's kind of a real ebb and flow. And that's really the biggest challenge. It's trying to when you get some feedback and some participation, those kind of things from it, are really what's kind of nice when you get that. And that's what's great about the ministry is the boys are very likable. They can be very kind. You can tell there are boys that have anger issues, emotional issues, that type of thing. I'll find myself trying to be a little bit careful at times what I say, those types of things. But in general, I like most all of them. Now they can be in there for some very serious crimes. I know there's boys in there that have murdered somebody. So there be some pretty serious issues with some of the things that they've done, obviously outside the center. I guess to add to the thing too is they are technically in a program. They're not in jail. They're completing a program. The idea is they're going to come through this program, finish their schooling as minors, and then get out whenever they've completed that. And there are boys that will be in there for as little as 6 months, and there are boys that have been in there for, say, up to 4 years or more. And so it really is a wide range of what maybe you're going to come across in there. But the idea is that they're completing their program, and they're going to get out and go back into society with a cleaner record, essentially. But they're very likable boys, and they're very, and so those are the kind of the benefits you get when you get that you get that feedback and stuff. The help is obviously prayer, but also there'd be two other possible areas if you wanted to help out. That liaison council where we meet once a month and then set that event for the month could be a very good place if you wanted to help out. So it's not week in, week out. It's just basically once a month going to that meeting's on Wednesday, the first Wednesday of the month at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And then when we have an event, it's usually in the afternoon on a Wednesday later in the month. So it does take a little bit away from your work schedule, but if that was something you thought you might be able to help out sometimes or on a regular basis, that's a place we could really jump in and help out a lot. And setting up those meetings or setting up those events, kind of pulling together whatever we're going to do and bring that together. And they may be things like we may show a movie in the summer, we may try to have like a little barbecue outside. They've got a gymnasium in the school, so we'll play games sometimes. It's those different types of things. And then obviously Sunday morning, we've got our 3 sets of 2 going in each week, but it's not an easy ministry. We've had people come and go, and I've done it for almost 3 years now. I probably can't do it for 10 more, to be honest with you. So there's always a need for some people on Sunday mornings to integrate in, and it's not easy. It's also not necessarily hard. I don't consider myself a teacher. I have no business teaching Sunday school, but I'm just trying to share the gospel with the boys, and they have very little Bible experience, many of them. Some of them, maybe as children were brought to church, they may know a few stories, David and Goliath or Jonah or something like that, but they do not have very little to no understanding of the Bible. And so much of it's kind of very basic in the sharing of the gospel. So I don't feel like you have to be an expert necessarily in all of those things, just have a heart for sharing it with them. But if you thought it's something you may want to do, my encouragement is to come a number of Sunday mornings, maybe go in a couple weeks each time with each different group, A, B, and C, just to see how the different groups handle the Sunday morning with the boys. And we don't have a set curriculum that we put them through. Each group is just kind of we let them go and lead where they feel led by the Spirit as they work and get to know their boys in each group. But if you thought Sunday morning was something you wanted to do, I'd say let me know. We'll integrate you in, I'll let you come visit and just see what you think about it, and work your way into the system a little bit if you may like it. I think that is most of what I wanted to share. I guess one of the things that I think the boys appreciate the consistency. I think they appreciate honesty. I share with them that I do have nothing in common with their background. Grew up in a suburban home, a mother and father. My parents are still alive, they're in their 80s. I tell them I'm 54 years old, I can still call my father and ask him for help on something if I need it. But that's a completely foreign world for most of these boys. They must all come from broken homes. Many of them have lost parents already, have very little family structure, and that's one of their biggest challenges when they get out, is trying to stay out and not fall back into the life that they had before. It's very, very difficult. Most of them come out, they'll be 16, 17 years, 18 years old. They don't have their driver's licenses, they don't have any money, they have very little education, probably very few skills, and they're going right back to homes where, one boy we had an experience with afterwards, we went to go pick him up at his house. They were clearly doing something illegal. Pulled up, some young men came out, very wary of why we were even there. They had no interest in us being there. They did not want us to stay. They wanted us to come as quick as possible. So there's a lot of challenges for those boys when they get out. Very, very difficult for them. But I think they really appreciate the honesty that you can just share with them your experiences to then, they don't have to be the exact same as theirs. I just think they appreciate that honesty from the adult. So, any questions?
So, it's actually more than just a boys' home. This is a correctional facility with barbed wire. They're in there incarcerated, right?
Yes, this question is, it's more than just a boys' home. Yes, they are incarcerated. there's 25-foot high fences with barbed wire at the top. Yes, and they're not allowed out. But the center also really likes us to not refer to them necessarily as inmates or those types of things. We call them the boys because they are teenagers, they're young, they've made mistakes. And so we're trying to be a little less harsh in that area, but there have been some very serious crimes. And so they're definitely incarcerated, yes.
I did go, I have, so, I mean, I think we don't discourage women from going, but I also would, if women have a heart to go there, I would encourage you, they are not looking for a mom. So some of them are, I have never been to Pod C because I didn't go that far. But they are not going to embrace you with open arms. So I just really want women to understand they're not looking for a mom. Okay, they've been hurt by their mothers. Some of the mothers don't even want them back in their home. So when you're going there, go there with your eyes wide open to understand that. And they have been hurt, like Phil said, they have been hurt deeply. And they've been hurt deeply by their mom and their father, if they have them. And so women have hurt them, and not to say they haven't done their fair share, but I just don't want women to go, oh, these poor kids, they probably just need a mom. Don't go in there thinking that.
Yes, I would not disagree with anything you said there. Now, our A team right now currently has a husband or wife team that goes in, and so we do have a woman that goes into A.
Yeah.
And I do think, and I've not been in there with them, but I feel like that different people are good though, because like I do think maybe some of them maybe identify with her as a woman. Ian goes in with me, and I really feel like he can make a connection with them that I don't. He's much closer to them in their age. His experience with the National Guard has been very good. He's shared his National Guard experience with a lot of them. And I think the military could be a possibility for some of them that could be a real good angle for them. And so, and we've got a young guy, Cam, that goes in the C team with Larry Ganshow. And so having different people and from different walks of life and genders and things, I think are beneficial because I think they may connect with one kid different than another.
Right, I agree with that. I just didn't want women to just kind of go in there with that softer side of themselves and go, oh, because that's what I did. And I was like, oh, no, that's not.
Well, I have offered my services outside of here to many of them, and very few have reached out. But then I have had a few reach out, and one of the very first boys that did, like that experience, we realized, okay, we were bringing him back to my friend Bill's home. And then we realized after that experience with that boy, without a long story short, he had a gun with him for no good reason whatsoever, right? And so we realized, we should probably not bring them back to our homes. We're gonna meet them, we're gonna have to go meet them outside of our homes. We can't expose our families to them and those types of things and stuff like that. So there's definitely some walls we're in caution where you have to use with them for sure, yes. All right. Thanks, guys. Oh.
How do the Sunday time slots? How does that overlap with church and things here?
He asked how the Sunday time slot goes. It's from 9 to 10 is our basic time that we're there. So it's pretty easily, if you get out somewhere around 10, you've got plenty of time to get here. Be here for 10:30 church. Yeah. Okay.
Just going to close it out here. I've been to the boys' home many a time, and recently, I haven't told you this, but I got to take one of the guys Ben, took him to his first day of college at UCM, and so that was a fun trip. Went to his house, got his stuff, and helped him move into his dorm at UCM. So that was kind of a first, and so. Not that happens often, but sometimes you get to participate in stuff where you feel really encouraged. He still texts me, and I got him connected to a church down near UCM. A friend of ours, Seth Petch, is at a church down in that area. And so really encouraged. Hopefully they'll continue to.
You know, he was one of the boys that has professed faith. We had some possible doubt, but he is one of the boys that's professed faith, and so that you get hooked with the church is fantastic. And obviously, growth outside of the home is not going to be easy. Really, really difficult.
And if you just to realize that these, just like we're talking about kind of scaffolding to support joyful gospel advancement, these guys and both at City Union Mission and at the Boys Home don't have that. If you think about it, just as Phil was saying, I can call my dad. These boys don't have a dad to call to even go get a driver's license. They don't have any of those things. And so how can we reflect Christ to the lost world? We can take somebody to go get their driver's license, drive them from Clay Como all the way down to UC, or they didn't come to my house, but from way out in near Lexington, Missouri, all the way down to UCM down there. So you just it's time, right? It's time and intentionality. And so we have the opportunity to do that. And then the opportunity for the outreach is to make those connections in the neighborhood here, so we can continue with the gospel advancement with people in this neighborhood as well, and then our spheres of influence, the people that we know in our lives. So I'm really encouraged and excited for these ministries. Let me just close us out in prayer so we can get to the service this morning. Thank you, Father, so much for your goodness, your grace. Father, for giving us your Son that we don't deserve. There's so many things that we have the privilege of in this life, and it is by your grace that we have those things. I pray that you'd give us a heart of gratitude, that you would cultivate in us an excitement to share the gospel with other people. I pray also that you would encourage all of these ministries, Phil and Gabriel and all of the stuff that's happening in Bethel or through the people of Bethel. Encourage those people who are taking steps of faith out into these things, because it can be really challenging and it can be really heart-wrenching. And I just pray that you encourage them and lift them up and build them up and bring people alongside them to help encourage them along the way. Lord, we pray that the gospel would go forth from this place, and that we would not just be someone who hides the light under a bowl, but just like the light on the hill, that we would share the gospel with anybody who would. Pray all these things in the name of Jesus.